Hello all, welcome back to another video from Let's DevOps. In today's video, we are going to perform our first SonarQube analysis scan of a React.js application. This video is a continuation of our previous video wherein we installed a latest version of SonarQube into our local environment. Without wasting much time, let's get started. As I said, this is going to be the episode 2 of our previous video, and we are going to perform our first SAST SonarQube scanning. There are a few things that is required, so let me just get into the actual demo in itself. First things first, you need an application, you need a source code that you want to scan using SonarQube. As you all know what SonarQube is, SonarQube is a SAST tool, static application security tool, which is also available in different tiers, open source and then enterprise and then developer edition, much more. Right, so you need a source code application, and I have the application currently sitting on GitHub. Second, you need SonarQube instance in itself. If you are not aware how to get your first instance started on your local environment, local machine, then please go and check out my previous video where I teach how to get SonarQube, the latest version of SonarQube installed in a Windows machine. So using that, we can get our container hosted. So you can see that if I do a Docker PS on port 9000, I have my SonarQube running. Right? Here it is on localhost 9000. I have the login page. Let's get started. The moment I log into SonarQube, it's empty. There's nothing configured in yet. So it is going to ask you to create your first project. Now, out of the box, SonarQube comes up with a few popular version control tools that you can integrate and set it as a connection between SonarQube and the version control tool. Or if you're using one of the version control tools that is not existing out of the box, then you can use something called as manual configuration. Now, even though I have GitHub and I have this GitHub option out of the box, for the ease of use, for understanding, I will go ahead and use manually because that is very easy to configure and to understand for people who are getting started. So first, I want to create a project manually. It is going to ask for two things. What's the name of the project and what's the project key? Now, my application is a React counter app, so probably I will go with the same name. I would use something like a React counter app. And by default, it takes the same display name as a project key, or if you want to customize project key, you can change it as well. But I'm going to leave it like that. Then it asks for what is the main branch or the master branch, because few systems have master as their main branch and few systems have main as their main branch. GitHub has main as its main branch, which is what is getting displayed in here also. So I'm going to leave it as main. Setup. The project is created. You can see React counter app project is created. Now we want to integrate or configure this repository and this project. So basically there needs to be an authentication happening wherein when we run a scan analysis, it needs to scan the entire content of this application, and then it should be able to publish the report. How many code smells, what are the vulnerabilities, what's the bugs, what's the code coverage, and much more into SonarQube. And to do that, it needs some kind of an authentication. And that's what we are going to configure in the second step. So how do you want to analyze your repository? Again, out of the box, it comes up with a lot of CI/CD tools like Jenkins, GitHub, all the popular ones are available. Again, for the ease of use, they also give this locally, wherein we go ahead and configure the things that we need. So again, for the ease of use, I'm going ahead with locally. So let's click locally. And as I said, there needs to be a connectivity for the Sonar scanner, the CLI scanner, to do the scan and then publish the reports to this project that we have just created. And to do that, we need to create a token. So let's go ahead and create a token. By default, it gives 30 days. It's totally fine. And then I go ahead and hit generate. Let's hold it in here. We need a tool or we need a utility to go ahead and perform the scan. There are multiple ways of performing the Sonar scan. There is a Docker image that we can use to trigger the scan, or you also have the binary available called as Sonar CLI to perform the scan. In this video, we are going to use the Sonar CLI binary. Now, because my environment is a local Ubuntu environment, I'm going to use the CLI. Now, Installing that CLI into the local machine is pretty straightforward. It is no rocket science. If I do an ls, I just set it up right before the demo started. So if I do an ls, I've already cloned the React Counter app, the repository, into my local. But let's come one level out to the SonarQube folder. If I do an ls, I have this Sonar Scanner CLI downloaded. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It is very easy. I just use a wget command. So if you are not sure how to get the Sonar CLI installed into the local machine, I would just ask you to just go to ChatGPT and then ask, hey, what are the things that I need to do to install a latest version of Sonar CLI? Nothing heavyweight. It's just that you using wget command, you need to get the latest binary from the binaries repository of Sonar CLI. You can also see that there is a page where you can find latest mm, all of the latest Sonar CLI packages available. Once you have downloaded it using wget, you need to unzip the contents. So when you unzip it, it unzips into a folder, something like this. If I navigate into the folder, there should be a bin file, bin directory. If I get inside the bin, there is this Sonar Scanner um, binary or the executable binary sitting in here. And that's what we need to execute the analysis. So that's one prerequisite. Second, this is the manual way, but you also have the Docker way, but we are not getting into it. It becomes a huge video if I explain all of the different ways of executing a scan. So this is one of the common ways. Now, again, this is right now sitting in a different path. It's sitting somewhere in my home directory into this location. So if I give something like, if I'm, let's say, out, and then I give sonar scanner, it will say command not found because I haven't added it to the environment variable path. So all of that is the basic things that you need to do. You need to make sure that the command is found, which means you need to add this folder, or you just drop this binary into a proper where opt location and then add that where ops to the path environment path variable, and then you will be able to find Sonar scanner command available for the entire environment. All right, we are not getting into those details. That is all pretty basic stuff. I'm assuming that my audience will know all of those things. Right, this is one thing. Second thing is, with this Sonar scanner now available, there are different kinds you can trigger the scan. Now, Sonar Scanner CLI has an option. Let me go back to this location. If I do a Sonar Scanner minus help, oops, minus help. Uh, Minus D is an important argument to define all of the different properties. What all different properties you need? You need what source to scan, which part of the source code you want to scan. Because you know that application could have multiple directories. Do you want to scan a subset? Do you want to scan the entire application? And so on. Second, what is the Sonar token, which we just generated here, because it needs the authentication to publish the reports. Third, if there is any code coverage report that you are producing, then that is also another argument that it needs to know from where should I pick up the code coverage report, and much more. If you get into the Sonar CLI documentation, you can find all of the different arguments. But the problem with that is that your scan command then becomes bulky. It's then you have to deal with a huge scan command and it becomes messy or pretty hard to manage. Instead, the industry practice is to have something like a Sonar project.properties file placed within the repository, which means you can have either a global Sonar project.properties for all of the similar looking applications, or you can have individual property files for each of your application. Now, this application individually has a Sonar project.properties. What does it have? All of that we discussed, that we need to pass it as an argument to the command line, is what we upfront configure in the uh, Sonar project.properties files. But then there are a few places that I've kept empty because we just configured that and we need that information to be put in here. So I edit. What was the project key? I guess the project key was React. Was it underscore? Yep. React underscore counter app underscore app. That's the same project name as well. Project version 1.0. Every time you do a major update, you just keep updating the version, project version, but otherwise it's harmless. Then another important thing is Sonar host URL. Right now, I'm hosted on localhost 9000, so I configured that. In ideal project case, you will have a proper DNS, HTTPS secured URL. You need to configure that. And then comes Sonar login. So here is where we need to pass this token that we have. Let me copy it and paste it in here. Now I can hear few of my followers saying that, hey, Karthik, this is not the ideal way, right? This is actually a token kind, and it is not good hard coding the token directly into this file. Yes, good, fair enough, correct. Instead, I would configure this as a pipeline variable or into some vault and then invoke the variable into this file so that it pulls in the token that is sitting, that is this token that is sitting behind that variable. That's how we have to do it. If you have any questions, doubts on how to do that, I have another video that I made on how to effectively manage your variables and secrets. That's also published within this week. So please, I will probably pin it on top of this video. You can go ahead and check how effectively you can manage these variables and pipeline variables and secrets. Right. This is configured. What else do we have? This is a React.js application. So the Sonar language is JavaScript. And then what is the source? Basically, what is the content that we want to configure? That is also mentioned here. I want you to scan all of the content sitting under SRC folder only and nothing else. And then finally, what's the source encoding? It is UTF. Apart from that, you have a few other options as well. If you are doing something like a code coverage report, then you can also specify the code coverage report. If there is a test case that you are if there is a test case that you are performing and then you want to pass the test results also, you have that argument in here and much more. You can go ahead and read the documentation of Sonar CLI, SonarQube, and it will provide you all of the different options that you can configure in this Sonar project.properties. But to get our first scan done, this is pretty much all we need to get started. All good? I go ahead and commit. Once this is done, I want this project to be available on my local, which means I want to do a git pull. So let's go back to the location where I have, yeah, and I'm performing a git pull. All right. All right. It's done. And to quickly check if all of my changes are available in the local, I do a get sonar project.properties. We should see React Counter App, and then the token, which ends with CC1. Let me quickly CC1. Let me quickly check. Yep, CC1. So my local has the latest updated repository code. Now all of it is done. I'm good. Now I'm going ahead to run my first Sonar scanner. Let's go back here. Let's say continue. Um, okay, Linux. Yeah, so if you see here, as I said, Sonar scanner is the utility, and then followed by what are all the basic arguments that is needed. If I want to run it via the command, then you need all of this -t, this, Sonar sources, host URL, and then login. Pretty much everything that is covered in the Sonar project.properties. But we're not going it with the command line. We are configuring it all in the project.properties. And then what do we do? Let's go back to overview or projects. Here, no scan, nothing, it's empty. I come back in here and I just want to run my Sonar scanner, which is sitting in bin, Sonar scanner, enter. Things are going fine. We should see something called as an Sonar analysis complete or succeeded, thereby indicating that things are working fine. There are a couple of warnings which we can ignore. Boom, execution success, which means that things have been scanned clean and the report has also been pushed into the SonarQube dashboard. If I come back here, hit a refresh, boom, we have our first SonarQube scan analysis done and the report has been pushed to the project dashboard. You see that there is AAAA, which means that there are no bugs, vulnerabilities, hotspots, and code smells, which is understandable because this is a pretty lightweight application. There is nothing much in there, probably 100 lines of codes or 45 lines of codes max. That's it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And you see here fast. Yep, that's pretty much it that I had for this session. I will make another video on exploring all of the other features of SonarQube. What is quality gate? How can you set up a quality gate? What happens if the quality gate does not pass? Does the scan break? And much more. We can also deep dive into what is this bugs, vulnerabilities, hotspots, code coverage, and much more. But I will do another video on that. If you enjoyed watching my video, please go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you feel like tipping me, there is a buy me a coffee link available in each of my videos and on my channel page. So please feel free to um, contribute if you really like my content. All right, then, wishing you all a nice rest of the day. Thanks all. Take care. Bye bye.